Hello and welcome back to Heart of Worcester College. Here we are in the engineering department again, and I'm going to be showing you some basic filing techniques. So let me introduce you to the basic files that we use in the workshop. This one here, let me get it out of the way, is called a bastard file. Okay, it's very rough. If you've got a lot of metal to come off, this is the one you would use. It's tapered, it's got a cut edge on each surface. Very, very good if you've got a lot of metal to come off. Now this next one is probably the engineer's choice. It's not as rough as the bastard, and it's square at the end. And what you'll notice with an engineer's square is a safety edge. Reason for that is, let me just show you an example on my hand. If I wanted to remove metal off here without damaging there, then with the safety edge, I'm not going to hurt this edge. Now the last one we have is called a second cut. Now this one is just like the engineer's file. It has a safety edge. It's got a very close tooth pattern on there. So for finishing and for polishing, this is the one we would be using. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is sort of how to set things in the vise as such. Now I'm going to be attempting to put this piece flat and square. Okay. Now when we put this in the vise, we only want maximum of sort of 10 millimeters poking above. Okay. Now I'm going to use the hand file. Now as I file this, now this is the tips that I would give now. If we're going to be trying to file this at 45 degrees as such. You know, if you look at my feet, they're shoulder length apart. I've got a nice broad base. And the file only works on the forward stroke. You know, I see a lot of people filing like this. That backward stroke is doing nothing. We file like this. Okay? And use the full length of the file. 1 stroke a minute is probably about right. And then we'll take and have a look to see if it's flat and square. Okay, but also I'll be checking it that way. Now the reason I'm checking that is that if you look at this particular bench I've been working on, this vise here is quite low. Now I can cope with this sort of vise. I'm below average height, so this suits me. But if you look at this one over here, this one is a little bit taller. We have vices of various heights. We have different size students, for example. Now if I put that in here, now what might happen, somebody of below average height, they might find that they are filing uphill as such because of the height of the vise. Now what we can do, if we've only got one vise, we can adapt our stance. So if I found I was filing uphill, I could just go half a step forward and continue like that. Likewise, if somebody was on the lower vise and they were above average height, they might find that they might be filing downhill. So what they need to do is take half a step back. Okay, now how we check if we're filing uphill or downhill is putting the engineer's square that way there. So it's understanding how you file, adapting your stance to what vise you're using. So that is an end flat and square. Another filing technique I'm going to show you is how to file a radius. Now I've already marked a radius on this piece of metal here. It's a 10 millimeter radius. Now a lot of people, when they think they've got to file a radius, they think they have to start filing this radius straight away like this. Let me give you a tip of how to do this now. We can see the radius mark there. I'm going to put it a little bit lower actually. It's roughly 45 degrees in the vise. I've got a good hand file here now. Now I'm going to go down with a flat just to hit the top of that line there that we've marked. Now you might notice the method I'm using here now. I'm actually rocking my body here, and you can see how much metal is coming off. And it's pretty effortless, to be honest. We've got a little bit more to go. We're pretty much on the line now. So what I'm going to do now is move this around slightly in the vise and I'm going to put a flat on that one peak that we've just developed. And again, I'm going to be going to the line. So there's not much to come off this time. That's about it. And we've got to do the same with the other peak. Now what we have now is something that resembles a 50p piece. So what we need to do is take the tops off these peaks now. And we have something that resembles a radius now. But to smooth that out, I'm going to show you another technique. So this time we need this out of the vise quite a bit more than the 10mm that we would normally use. Now this technique I'm going to be showing you now is called heel to toe or blending, and we're going to try and smooth these lumps and bumps out. That looks like a reasonable radius to me. And we can always check it with a radius gauge. Here we have radius gauges here. So I need a 10mm radius gauge. There's the 10mm. So we can check this with that. So I can see I've got a few little high points just near the end there to sort out. I'm happy with that. One radius.